Hello and welcome back to CSharp for Beginners video series. I hope you are enjoying the videos and getting some benefit from it. If you are, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon so that you are notified when a new video is released. I am using .NET Fiddle to write and execute code. The objective of this video series is to focus on the programming concepts and not get into details of installing editors and how to use them. I think .NET Fiddle offers that. It runs in a browser and no installation is required. You can even run .NET Fiddle on your mobile device. I highly encourage you to try out the codes in the video yourself on .NET Fiddle. The link to the website is in the description below and it is also on the screen. In the last video, we talked about Boolean data type, its values, true and false, and we learned the if statement. In this video, we're gonna learn the other parts of the if statement, the else part and the else if part, and then we're gonna talk about logical operations and, or, and not, and we're gonna learn loops. So let's get started. We left the last video with this code. We had two variables, x and y, and x was set to number 5 and y was set to number 6. And we had an if statement, and the condition was if x was greater than or equal to y, the program should print out x is greater than y. In this code example, x is greater than y does not get printed because x is not greater than y. X is actually smaller than y and the condition is false. Remember, this part of the code gets executed only if the condition is evaluated to true. So if I click on run, only done gets printed and nothing else. The if statement has an else part which gets executed when the condition is false. Let's write the else part. The else part is like this: else, and then you have two curly braces and there is a block of code. So let me write console dot So this is the structure of if else. If a condition and then a block of code inside curly braces, and then else another block of code inside curly braces. So this block of code next to if is executed when the condition is true, and this block of code, the else part, gets executed when the condition is false. So now if I run the program should print out x is smaller than y because 5 is smaller than 6 and the condition is evaluated to false. And there we can see the program has printed x is smaller than y. Now let's change the value of x to 6. The value of x and y are now equal. They're both 6. The condition will still evaluate to true because we are checking if x is greater than or equal to y. So let's run the code. And the message is printed out as x is greater than y. But the message is not accurate because x is not greater than y. They're both equal. If I want the program to print out x is equal to y when x is actually equal to y, I can use the else if statement. So I will change the code of the if condition to check if x is greater than y. So if x is greater than y, it will print out x is greater than y. And if it is not, it will print out x smaller than y. But in between, I can add another check with else if and put another condition in there. So the else if statement structure is like this. So if you have an if statement with a condition, then you can have multiple else if statements with other conditions in them. So for example, we want to write check if x is equal to y, and then console.writeLine the message x is equal to y, and then an else part, x is smaller than y. So this part is run when the first condition is met. Then this will run if the second condition, the else if part, is evaluated to true. If none of them passes, it will fall into the else code. So let's run the code. And as we expect, this gets printed, x is equal to y. Don't worry about the x message. Sometimes .NET Fiddle throws wrong error messages and it doesn't get updated. It is important to understand that if you have multiple else if statement, if, else if, and another else if statement, all the conditions gets evaluated until the one that is evaluated to be true. Let's add another else if statement. Else if x is not equal to y, we're going to print out x is not equal to y. So now let's see what the program is going to do line by line. So x is 6, y is 6. The program is going to come to this line and evaluate this condition, which will be false. So it will go into the next else if statement, and it will see that x is equal to y. It's going to execute this code, and it will come out of the if else statement at this line and print out done. And that's what happened. And we can see x is equal to y is printed and done is printed. Now if I change the value of y to 7, now let's go through line by line what the program is going to do. The program is going to come here and check x is greater than y, which is false. Then it's going to come into else if statement and see if x is equal to y, and which is false again. So this is going to be skipped to the next else if statement, where if this x is not equal to y is going to be evaluated to true, and it will print this out and come out of the if else statement and print out the done line. Here we are, x is not equal to y, and it prints out done. That covers the if statement. Now let's talk about logical operators. Logical operators are used to perform operations on Boolean values. Let's talk about the AND operator. The AND operator is typed with 2 ampersand signs next to each other. Let's do some examples. Let's define a variable, I am hungry, and set it to true. And a variable, I have food, is true. Okay. So I have 2 Boolean variables, one named I am hungry, set to true, and the other one, I have food, set to true. Now I can say if I am hungry and I have food, I can eat. Else. So the AND operator is doing the AND operation on two Boolean values. So I am hungry is set to true. I have food set to true. So doing an AND operation on two true values will result in true value. So I am hungry and I have food, then I can eat. If I change I am hungry to false, so I am not hungry, but I have food, so then this one of these values is a false, so false and a true will result in false. If I do the run in here, I can't eat. If either of the values are false, the AND operation will result in a false value. Still I can't eat. The only time the AND operation results in a true value is when both or all of the values are true. So all of the values have to be true in an AND operation for the AND operation to result in true. Okay, now I can eat. So to summarize, true and true equals true, false and true equals false, true and false equals false, false and false equals false. Just remember, in order for an AND operation to return true, all the values in the AND operation has to be true. If any of the values in the AND operation is false, it results in a false value. Next is the OR operator. The OR operator is typed with two pipes. The pipe key is right above the enter button on your keyboard. It's in the same button with backslash. You have to press the shift key with the backslash to get this. You need two pipes to type the OR operator. The OR operator is the opposite of the AND operator. If any part of an OR operation is true, the whole is true. So true or true is true, true or false is true, false or true is true, and false or false is false. So keep in mind, if any part of an OR operation is true, the whole is evaluated to true. Now let's do an example. So I have a variable called have bike and it's set to true. And then another variable have car is set to true. The program will print I can go if either have bike is set to true or have car is set to true. If either of these two variables is true, I can go. If both of them are false, the whole OR operation is evaluated to false, then I cannot go. Okay, so I have car is true, I have bike is true. If I run it, it prints out I can go. If I have only one, I don't have a bike, but I have a car, I can still go. If I have a bike, but I do not have a car, I can still go. The only time I won't be able to go if both of them are false. I can't go. So in an OR operation, as long as any one is true, the whole operation is evaluated to be true. The NOT operator is typed with the exclamation mark. The NOT operator flips the Boolean value to its opposite value. For an example, not true equals false, and not false equals true. So if you need to flip the value of a Boolean variable, you can just put the exclamation sign in front of it, and it will flip the value of the Boolean variable to its opposite value. Loops repeat a block of code. We'll talk about two loops in this tutorial: the while loop and the for loop. Let's start with the while loop. The structure of the while loop is like this. You have the keyword while, then a condition in parentheses, and then a block of code enclosed with curly braces. This block of code will keep on repeating until or as long as this condition is evaluated to true. Now there is a danger here. If the condition never gets evaluated to false, the program will keep on repeating this code forever, and that's called an infinite loop. So when coding while loop, it's very important to make sure that the program at some point will make this condition to be false so that the program can come out of this while loop and not get stuck in an infinite loop. Here's an example. I have a variable index which is set to integer 1. And then I have a while loop, and in the condition I have said index is less than or equal to 15. So the way you would read it is while index is less than or equal to 15, this block of code or console.writeLine index, which is printing out this index number, will be printed. As long as index is less than or equal to 15, once done, it will print the word done. Now notice that index is 1. This condition is checking whether the index is less than or 15, but inside the loop, index is not being incremented. So this is an example of an infinite loop. So I'll run it and you'll see what happens. So .NET Fiddle will kill the program as soon as it realizes that the program is stuck on an infinite loop. And if you look at the output, you'll see there's ones printing. It's printing ones for a long period of time. Well, in terms of how long the program is running before it's killed by .NET Fiddle. So if you are using a while loop, it is very important to make sure that at some point, or that at this condition will be evaluated to false. And the way we can do it is we can use the increment operator. We can use the increment operator to increment index every time we go through this loop. So every time this loop is run, index gets incremented. So it starts at 1. After the first time, index will be 2. On the third time, index would be 3. On the fourth time, index would be 4. And then on the 16th time, this condition will be evaluated to false, and the program will exit the while loop. Let's run the program. You can see the print. It's printing 1, 2, 3, 4 up until 15, and then it prints done. That's the while loop. Now let's move on to the next loop, the for loop. The for loop has this structure: the keyword for, and then in the parentheses you have 3 sections separated by semicolon. The first section is called the initialize section. This is where you set up your iterator, like index, as we did in the while loop. The second part is the exit condition. As in our last example, index is less than or equal to 15. And then the increment is how do you increment the variable you've defined here. So let's do an example and then it will make more sense. Here we have the for keyword. Then in the initializer part, I am saying I'm declaring a variable index and I'm setting the variable value to 1. And then I have put semicolon. In the exit condition, I am saying when the index, as long as index is less than or equal to 15, the loop continue the loop. As soon as index becomes more than 15, the loop is broken. And the increment part, I'm increasing the index by 1 on every iteration of this loop. And the body of the loop is enclosed by curly braces and it's printing out the number index. A good thing is that there is no risk of running into an infinite loop while using for loops, because when you are defining a for loop, you are defining the exit condition as well as the increment. So there is no chance that you are going to forget to increment index in a for loop. Let's run the program. And it's printing out 1 to 15. I can also increase the index by 2. I can say plus equal to 2. So this operator is the same as saying index is equal to index plus 2. Okay, so I'm just doing a shortcut and I am increasing the value of index by 2 on every iteration. Now let's run and you can see that it's printing 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So it's iterating. So that's the for loop. With that, we've come to the end of this episode. In this video, we went over the else if and the else part of the if statement. We went over the and, or, and not logical operators, and we've learned how to do the while loop and the for loop. So now we have gone over the basic structures of programming, and I think it's a good time to do a few coding challenges. In the next video, I will go over some coding examples and show how all these structures fit together to run a program. So click the subscription button and the bell icon so that you are notified when the next video is released. Till then, goodbye.